معرفة.
Now let us discuss about Islamic Bank Guarantee. Now in the Islamic Bank Guarantee, let's take this simple example wherein there is an exporter, there is an importer. For example, if the importer is importing certain equipment from the exporter and the exporter wants a bank guarantee to be issued so that it has a kind of a security that in case if the importer fails to fulfill to pay its obligation in terms of payment, then there is somebody who is acting as a guarantor to make the payment. Get that comfort, the importer would approach it, for example, an Islamic bank, and Islamic bank guarantee would be issued for the importer in favor of the exporter, mainly stating that in case if the importer fails to make the payment obligation, the bank would guarantee such payment to the exporter. So this is in brief an Islamic bank guarantee. Just to recap it once more, there is an exporter, for example, or even it is not necessary that this has to be an exporter. This could be like any company who is selling a commodity or a good or providing certain service or anything to another entity. Now, to get a comfort that the financial obligation is fulfilled by this another entity, this entity can ask for a bank guarantee. And to give that bank guarantee, in this particular case, for example, the importer could approach an Islamic bank and ask for a guarantee. And this guarantee would mainly say that in case if the importer fails in its obligation to pay the amount to the exporter or pay the due amount to the exporter, then the bank would come and fulfill the obligation of the importer. For providing such a service, now we have to understand that there are two structures in case of bank guarantee. Generally, one is the Wakala structure, which is basically understood as, which means, for example, responsibility or suretyship. The other is a Wakala structure, which is an agency structure. In a Wakala structure, meaning to say the bank is acting as a guarantor. Now, according to IOFI, charging a fee for providing a guarantee through a Wakala structure is not permissible. But there are certain scholars who have allowed for charging of fee for providing a guarantee through a Wakala structure, and their justification or their rationale for providing a Sharia approval, they feel the Islamic bank to provide such a guarantee, it has to undergo or it has to do certain activities, for example, financial analysis of the applicant, the credit assessment of the applicant, and getting the required internal approvals to issue that guarantee. For these efforts, the scholars feel that the bank can charge certain fee for providing a guarantee. That is one of the approaches. The other structure which we were talking about is the Wakala structure. When I say Wakala, what it means is that the bank is acting just as an agent on behalf of the importer. But when a guarantee is being issued under a Wakala structure, in the case of Wakala structure, what we are saying is that, for example, if the value of the machinery was $100 and the importer has to pay $100 to the exporter, and the importer has placed the $100 in his account with the bank, stating that on my behalf, please kindly make the payment to the exporter. So what it means is that the bank is already in possession of that money which the bank has to pay in case the importer fails to pay. So in such a scenario or such a structure of guarantee is called as the Wakala structure. So again, let me explain that in a Wakala structure, the bank has the amount which needs to be paid in case of default by the importer to the exporter already placed by the importer with the bank. So the payment when the bank is making to the exporter is not the bank's money, but it is the money of the importer with the bank. So in such a scenario, the bank can charge some agency fee. So the scholars have allowed for charging of a fee in case the bank guarantee is structured on a Wakala basis. What do you mean by a Wakala basis? Meaning to say that the importer has already placed that due amount with the bank to be paid to the exporter in case the importer fails to make that payment. So in such a scenario, the bank has been given the permission to charge a fee. There are various types of Islamic bank guarantees. For example, the first could be, for example, tender guarantee. For example, it could be performance guarantee. For example, it could be advance payment guarantee. For example, it could be retention guarantee. For example, it could be shipping guarantee. So what we are trying to say is that there are various kinds of guarantees And each guarantee, in a way, just what it is trying to say is that it is trying to fulfill the obligation of the party which is defaulting. So the Islamic Bank, in a way, is coming and fulfilling that obligation. So it could be for, in the case of tender issuances, for example, it could be in the case of, for example, certain performance which is expected from the customer of the Islamic Bank, and the customer has not fulfilled its performance, and hence in such a scenario the bank is guaranteeing that it would step in the shoes of the customer and fulfill that performance obligation. In terms of certain advance payment, there are the same thing comes in terms of the obligation of the customer. The bank would step in and fulfill that obligation. Then the same thing we have in case of retention, and again going forward with shipping guarantee. So the final details of each you can of course refer to the reading material. But what I am trying to say is that currently the Islamic banks are offering various varieties of guarantees so that they could facilitate their customers, and so that they could give an option to their customers. An Islamic option is given to the customer to provide an Islamic guarantee. Islamic Bank Guarantee. So just to recap, we have discussed what is an Islamic Bank Guarantee. Then we have also discussed that there are two types of Islamic guarantee, and what we said that one is with a kafala structure and one is with a wakala structure. Wakala meaning agency, kafala meaning a guarantor. Okay, and we have seen that IOF generally, or IOF does not allow that a bank charges a fixed fee or any kind of fee in case if the bank is providing a guarantee through a kafala structure. But in a wakala structure, because the bank is in effect acting as just an agent. So the bank is already having that cash which it needs to pay to the exporter in case its customer fails to make the payment. So in such a scenario, the bank can always agree, and the bank can charge a fee to the customer for providing such. But in what we have also discussed, that in case of providing a guarantee through a kafala structure, some scholars have allowed that the bank can charge certain agreed fee with the customer, because the bank is doing certain activities, or certain amount of effort is being done, or the bank is involved in certain effort in terms of assessment, in terms of taking approvals, in terms of the paperwork which the bank is doing. And for such activities the bank the bank has a right to charge a certain fee when the bank is providing a guarantee through a kafala structure. So, and then we have also discussed about different types of guarantees just now, and different types of guarantee. But in effect, we understood that guarantee, or an Islamic bank guarantee, is nothing but an Islamic way of guaranteeing an obligation payment of a customer in case if the customer fails to make the payment.